Today is the World Environment Health Day. When we talk about the health of the environment, we need to manage the environment if you want to maintain the health of the environment. There are various techniques to manage. You carry out EIA, environmental impact assessment, life cycle assessment, environmental auditing. And of course, you all as engineers will also design a product which are friendly to the environment. The concept of life cycle assessment, as one of the speakers talked about it in the morning, is cradle to grave or cradle to gate. That means you will look at what is the environmental footprint of that product. When you manufacture product, your agenda is to minimize the footprint, the environmental footprint, so that there are no emissions, there are no contamination. So in fact, I teach this course on environmental management at ISC. I have written a book also. Those of you who are interested can go through the book. It may not be available in the market because already 10 years old. I am now revising this one, but online version should be available. Now, see, our agenda of talking about environmental health or maintaining the environmental health is to make sure that our next generation will have clean air and water and the environment. Now, when we talk about the sustainable development, essentially we have to do the proper decision making. The decision what we take as far as the environment will also have a long-term implications. Now, since I am from ecology, let us try to understand why we have to protect this environment. When you look at the ecosystem, the diversity of the ecosystem, that's where you need to learn from the scriptures and all. Our elders have said there are 8 to 12 million species. And in science, we have said that about 1.3 million species are there. And out of 1.3 million species, we have looked at the phytochemical composition of those species which have a medicinal value, maybe 5%. There's a lot to do. Now we have less number of people in basic science. Most of the people want to be fighters, pythons. Okay, they don't want to take up the basic science. So my job is when I speak, if I take 2 youngsters to the basic science, I've done my job. And I've been talking to the various students over a period of time. Now, why do you need the diversity? When you have diversity of plants and animals, you have diverse food and diverse medicine. When you have diverse food, you have diverse medicine. When you have diverse medicine or the food, you also attain the immunity so that you will never get the problem of any health issues. For example, if you look at the COVID, it's a zoonotic disease. And COVID happened in a place where ecosystem was in a poor shape or the environment was not that good. In the villages where I work, I come from Western Ghats. I work in Western Ghats. In my villages, I didn't see the COVID death. But I see in villages where mismanagement of solid waste, liquid waste, along with the dead bodies were also falling during the COVID. So that shows if you want to address this kind of the disastrous diseases, you need to know the importance of conserving the environment or the ecosystem. Now, when you look at the Western Ghats, my home starts from Kerala to Gujarat. And if you look at the number of species along the latitudinal gradient, you see that at 8 to 14 degree latitude, you have the highest number of species. This 8 to 14 degree latitude coincides or corresponds to Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu part of Western. We inherit such a resource, diversity in landscape, diversity in terms of flora and fauna, diverse medicine, but we do not know how to manage that. Okay, that is where we need to talk about how to manage that. I make some statement. Those of you who want to know more, you are most welcome to come to my lab and discuss further, because I was earlier told I will have half an hour. I looked at the schedule. It is 10 minutes. Had I known that, I wouldn't have come. Half an hour is there. Okay, thank you because my job is to communicate and make people more and more sensible and responsive. Okay. Now, if you look at the Western Ghats, what is the cover, land cover changes are happening. You all know remote sensing. As an engineering student, I'm sure you know the word sensing remotely. All of you are looking at me. I'm also looking at all of you, keenly looking at the youngsters who can be asset to the nation. And this is remote sensing. Whatever you acquire today, it will be in your brain for a few hours, maybe tomorrow. Then day after tomorrow, if somebody says, there was a gentleman by name TV Ramachandra, they say, yes, he exists on that, but we don't know him. So that means memory is short. Then if you want to store it for a longer time, we use the technology. That's what we are doing today. And when you use technology, you are recording the process of phenomena. And when you take a photograph of a region or the location, you come to know what changes are happening over a period of time if you have taken the photograph for the 2-time period. Now, if I mount that camera on the satellite gives revolving the Earth. Every 21 or 30 days, I get the picture of the Earth. Now I can find out what is happening to my home. That's what we have done from 85 to 2018. We analyzed, and we also saw that, as per the Government of India norm, not just Government of India, the entire global norm, 33% should be the green cover. When I look at my home, I have only 18% green cover. Out of that, 10% is the evergreen. And I have lost 5% of forest during this study period. So that means the forests are degraded and getting degraded. Okay. So then, when you look at the forest, they do a wonderful job of maintaining the environmental health. Whatever you emit, when you breathe, you give out carbon dioxide. When you manufacture certain things, you emit. That carbon is sequestered by the plant during the photosynthesis and stored in the plants. So that, that is where, if you look at the carbon sequestration potential of the plant, you can say what is the worth of the forest. Okay. Now, we also looked at what is the likely implication, 2031. When I published this article in 2018, I said floods, mudslides, landslide is going to happen quite often in Western Ghats. And that happened. When I wrote that article, people said, I'm just making a statement. That's how some people talked about it. But when the floods and the mudslides happened in Kerala, Wayanad, and Coorg in Karnataka, people started talking to me over phone, asking me what we should do. So if you want to address the calamities, first is respect mother. People who respect mother at home also will respect Mother Earth. Today was a golden day in my life. I was sitting next to the mother. Okay. So that is where, when you do that kind of a thing, you will never abuse Mother Earth. So now, having seen changes in this region, what is the likely implication? There would be changes in temperature. And an average 0.5 degrees Celsius temperature increase will happen. Some part will have 3 degrees, some part will have 0.5 degree, 0.25 degrees. When you take average, it will be 0.5 degrees Celsius. And another thing is the changes in the rainfall. Some region receive high rainfall, some region receive the low rainfall. And worrying fact is the high intensity rainfall. The Bangalore getting 90 mm or 110 mm, or one day getting a 300 mm, the last 2 weeks back. So only when it rains, when it floods, my phones get flooded with the calls. And after the rain recedes, people ignore our suggestion. So that is the memory of the public. Okay. Now, what is the worth of the carbon that is stored in this forest, in the Western Ghats? When I assign the monetary value, it amounts to 100 billion rupees. It's about $1.3 billion. And how much carbon it has stored? 1.23 billion gigagram. And every year, about 37,000 gigagrams of carbon gets sequestered by the trees in the Western Ghats, which is equivalent to the emission that happens in Bangalore, Mangalore, the Trivandrum and Cochin. See, the nature knows how to maintain the balance, okay? So now, let me give another small example. You see this slide carefully. Here you see a water. When I was young, I used to enjoy this. Today, when I go there, on the same day, same month, I don't get the water. That means the last 3 decades, we have changed the scenario. You know, when you look at carefully, the way the land is covered, its health is also maintained. When I say health, you have clean water, clean air. When you have clean water and clean air, you will be healthy. That's where when we degrade the environmental health, we also pay the heavy price. In fact, in the concluding part, I will talk about the kind of problem we have created in the name of development and industrialization. We have messed up our system with the pollutant. We think that having pollutant is a sign of the prosperity, not the health. Okay. So now, when you see, we did a study in Western Ghat to find out, and in Bangalore lakes also, you know, when the catchment has the natural vegetation, how much water gets infiltrated, and also if it is an urbanized landscape, how much water gets in, and if it's a monoculture plantation, how much water gets in. You know, during monsoon, if it is a native vegetation, because of the native vegetation, which is diverse, the soil become porous because of you have diversity of microorganisms doing the wonderful job of making the soil porous. When soil is porous, it allows the water to percolate, it fills these zones. Now you have monsoon rain for 4 months. After that, water that is stored in this region comes to the river or stream for the next 4 months. And water stored in this region comes to the river or stream for the next 4 months. That's how you have 12 months of water. In urban area, like urbanites, you don't do anything. So that's where the water doesn't get filtered. You know, there's no accumulation of the water. There is a scarcity of water. And how much water gets filled? You see about 50 to 60% of the water that is in the form of precipitation gets stored in the underlying layer. That is the water that is available to the public during the post-monsoon period. And you look at the Western Ghats, you see the demand for water is higher. I have done the quantification of the agriculture demand, horticulture industry demand in the Western Ghats, which is much higher than the other part where the degraded landscape is there. But still, there is no scarcity of resources. So that means if you maintain the integrity of the ecosystem or the health of the environment, it meets the requirement of the public or the people on the system. Now, to summarize what I said so far, you see that this is the region where 12 months water is available in the well or the stream. This is 8 months, this is 6 months, and this is 4 months. Now, when you look at with the land cover, wherever land cover of native species or contiguous forest, you have 12 months water. Where our forests are fragmented, you have 8 to 6 months of water. Where we have degraded the landscape with there less than 4 months water is available. Now you might ask, so what? We can get a water from moon, we can get water from Linganmakki reservoir, Bengaluru can survive, but don't worry about people in Linganmakki area. This is the kind of decision making is hurting the entire system in the country. Now, how it benefits the people, let us see. See, the farmers in this region, if they earn 1,54,000 rupees per acre, here the farmers in this region, they earn 32,000 rupees per acre per year. Now, why? Because the water is available throughout the year. They can grow multiple crops or a cash crop, whereas the farmers in this region can grow only one crop. Then the second interesting thing, because of the diversity of the vegetation here, pollinators are abundant and diverse. Because the pollinators are abundant and diverse, the pollination is efficient. When pollination is efficient, yield of the crop is higher. See, the farmers in this region, if they get a paddy of 14 to 16 quintal per acre, the farmers in this region get only 6 to 8 quintal because there is no pollination happening there. Now you see, when you keep the environment in a good condition, how you are benefited. Now the Prime Minister of the country talks about the doubling the income of the farmer. My only suggestion to him is create an ecosystem like this throughout the Indian landscape. I've been writing to him. Sometime I get acknowledgement. Probably I should have been younger so that he would have listened to me better. So you are listening to me. Maybe you should take a courage to write to the Prime Minister and things can change. We have to become a change maker in the system. We cannot continue with this kind of irresponsible society in the system. That is where let us assert and bring the change. That is where the forum like this helps. When the workshop is organized or a symposium is organized, it is not just for a certificate. It is to make more and more sensible people in the system. We have to create that. Okay. So now let us see what are the benefits. You see that wherever animals, what we have marked here, these are all the distribution of the animal. They are there where water is there 12 months. Where water is not there, this region, water is not available 12 months, only 4 months water is there. I see only two-legged animal fighting for water. Okay, now let me give an example, medicinal value of the thing. We have described these two new species of fish which has a medicinal value. It is used for curing the respiratory diseases and bronchitis. On full moon day, this was induced through the mouth. That means that has a medicinal property. Then if you are a student of biotechnology, you will say, oh, wonderful. Let me get that to the Bangalore. Let me culture it. But it will not give the same medicinal properties. So that means you need to cultivate those animals in the location where they are, then only you will get the medicinal properties. Now you understood these animals can survive if there is a water 12 months. If the water is there, for the water to be there 12 months, surrounding catchment area should have the native species forest more than 60%. That means this says, if forests are good, I'll give you medicine. Now you might say that, okay, I don't need medicine. I should live on the earth at least. Okay. Now let us see whether you can live on the earth. You all know about frogs. Frogs are also known as amphibians. Why do we call them amphibians? There are two stages in the life cycle. Usually I ask the question because of a time constraint, I'm not doing it. The first stage is a juvenile stage or a tadpole stage, requires the water. The next stage is adult stage, which is on the land. Now, because of that, we call that amphibian. Now, if there is no water, what will happen to the frog? They cannot survive. That tadpole stage cannot happen. Now, this fellow, my study subject tells me, Philatus leucorinus is a species in Western Ghats. After fertilization of the egg, we didn't see the young ones emerging out. We saw the adults coming out. There are no tadpole stage because this animal learned, the stream in that region, which was perennial, carrying water for 12 months, has become 6 months. Animals learned how to survive without water. So continue the progeny. See, our agenda is to continue the next generation. So that is what the animal does. With the warming of the earth, changes in climate is happening. With changes in climate, there will not be water on the earth. And when there's no water, none of us will survive. But only these organisms will survive. You can write it down. When that situation comes, I will not be there, but even in grave, I will answer your question. I don't think you will also be there if there's no water on the earth. Okay. Now, see, this is where people looked at this nature. They started conserving. They called that as they understood if the forests are good, they will have water in the well. If they have water in the well, they can grow the crop. So they designated a particular patch of forest as the sacred grove or the sacred, the Kans or Devarakadus like that. You look at Lord Shiva, his head represents the forest and he brought the water. And look at all the scriptures. See, when I go through the Bible, it talks about the nature conservation at least 320 times. When I look at Quran, I see that there's a mention about the imminent war if you contaminate the water. If you don't maintain the health of the water, then you are going to pay the heavy price in the form of war. That's where when you visit good dargahs, you have to wash your feet and finger with a clean water before you enter the dargah. If you go to Kadapa, I have visited that dargah. I mean, whoever goes there as a guest, they will take you there. And I was surprised to see. That's where I learned all our scriptures talked about it, but why we still continue to be irresponsible. Okay. Now, let us, if we don't believe in scriptures, let us learn from the history. People go on expanding the land thinking that as if the land is the ultimate thing, the civilization survives. But see, Easter Island people went on expanding. One day they have to vacate the island because there was no water. Okay, if you don't want to believe Easter Island, let me take you to southern India. Last leg of king, the Vijayanagara kingdom failed because of the water crisis. And that means if we mismanage the environment and if we degrade the environmental health, we are going to pay the heavy price. Okay. Now, how you can conserve the water? That's where LCA comes to the picture. I would say simple way, as a student and as a youngster, you change your food habits. You are doing the wonder. My simple suggestion is have more of pulses. See, you might say, why this man is talking about pulses? My study on algae shows when you give more nutrient to the algae, it does not store lipid. Their agenda is for me to have more lipid so that I can have the biofuel. So what I do, I will stress the algae of nutrient so that it will store more lipid. So the people who don't eat properly, they are obese. People who take pulses are not obese, and their brain also functions, and it reduces the risk of cancer and boosts the metabolism and lowers the diabetes and blood pressure and diabetes. So, when I speak, people ask, what is the proof? If you want, the proof is my colleague, who was the head of the institution. He had blood pressure, sugar, the diabetes, etc. Occupational hazards, okay? But after retirement, he listens to us. Now, today, when you look at his food plate, he has 5 varieties of fruit, 5 varieties of vegetables, and a bowl of pulses. He's 73, neither have sugar, diabetes, nor the blood pressure. What does it show? When your food plate is diverse, you are healthy. And the pulses gives the stability. Now, let us look at the LCA aspect of this. Let us take up the water footprint. When you start eating pulses, I have to grow more and more pulses. So then what is water footprint? See, to grow a kg of pulse, I need 200 liters of water. To grow rice or wheat, I need 3,000 to 5,000 liters of water. To grow sugar, you need about 12,000 liters of water. Country says, when they export sugar, the GDP will go up. But GDP is going up at the cost of water. That's not a good sign. So that means if you want to see, when you have the healthy planet, you will have the harmonious state of mind, body, and spirit. The people who work in this region never get agitated. Now, I will bring to you some of the things what's happening in Bangalore. Now, this is the Bangalore I had enjoyed as a kid. But today's Bangalore, I see what? We have to travel by boat. If you go take a shelter under a tree, even tree will refuse you. It will fall and it will kill you. And you see, this is a very horrible sign. A lady of 25 years struggling to earn 25 rupees a day, which is not even sufficient for her livelihood. Now, she cannot even take care of the family. That is the situation. Is it a Silicon Valley of India? I don't think so. Now, let us look at Bangalore. Why the floods are happening? Because now floods were happening. I was also in the news, no? You should know why I was in the news. Everyone came to my office. All the channels came. They wanted to know why flooding is happening. When you look at Bangalore, of 715 square kilometer today, let me take you to the era of Kempegowda. In 1800, we had 1,452 water bodies and 80% green cover. The stream was passing through the landscape. They just bonded that, and that's how the lakes formed. We had an interconnected lake system. At that time, there was no flooding, there is no water scarcity. 1,452 water bodies during Kempegowda period has come down to 193. Constructed the malls. They are sitting in the malls. And we go and enjoy the malls as if we get some kind of thing. It is as good as a graveyard. Malls in the urban system. Now, how did our rulers look at the system? Whichever the town, they just created a protective wall and there is a lake. They ensured the safety of the citizen and water security of the people. They knew that if they give these two, people will survive. That's where this is, the fort near City Market. And this is the region where lake was there. Today, only during monsoon, we get a footprint of the lake. When it floods, we'll worry. We think that, there was a flood, the lake at the time. Now, when you look at the topography of Bangalore today or earlier, you see that we had 3 watershed and we had interconnected lake system. And you all know I come from Indian Institute of Science. My institution is number 1 in the country. We are not just number 1 in the country. We are at the top position in Bangalore. highest location in Bangalore is 942 meter, which is my gate at main the campus. That is the beauty of the system. Now, today you look at the drainage system, interconnectivity is lost. The people dump solid waste in the drain. Madam is struggling to see that it's not, doesn't happen. But for our problem, earlier it was only the organic fraction and some plastic used to go. Today, even the building debris they are dumping. In spite of we having the construction demolition rule of the 2016, and our civil engineering faculties and the students, where are they? Why they have not come out with the technology which where we can handle this construction demolition waste? The engineering colleges are there to train the youngsters so that they can solve the problem of the country. I don't want the slaves of the technology in our country. I want people who run the country with the brain, not with the technology, with the mobile in their hands. Okay. So then see the way the Bangalore is changing. 68% green cover and 7.97 is the building, red color. Blue is water body, yellow is open space. Today you look at 81% is the red. We have choked the city. You would have studied in the book, the textbook, 33% green cover. Where is 33% green cover? I am sure we require plants. You agree with that? Is there anyone who says the plants are not required? Okay, everyone agrees. Now, why do we require plants? What is the thing? I need at least one answer. Oxygen. Why do you need oxygen? Okay, I'll ask still simpler question. Who is not breathing in this room? After retention. That is other. Let us not complicate. Now we are in the room, we are thinking about oxygen. That's fine. You know how much carbon dioxide you give out in a day? You give out 980 grams per person per day. You're all young. The front row, some of us, we give out 540 grams per person. And 1 hectare of tree sequester the carbon 6 to 8 tons. By that ratio, for every human being, there should have been 7 to 8 trees. What we have in Bangalore, we have the reverse case. Okay, I'll show you that. Now, what is likely to happen in Bangalore if this continues? 98.5% would be concretized. Now, let me take another example of the solid waste. If you understand how nature functions, you will become a successful engineer. I can teach the laws of thermodynamics based on this, the simple food chain. You look at the produce of producing food and then synthesized by other level. Whatever is left is converted into elemental form by bacteria and fungi. I can teach bioremediation. Okay. At the same time, I can teach the laws of thermodynamics, law of entropy also I can teach. And look at that, when the nature, there is nothing called waste. Where do you see waste? You will see waste where waste people are there. Who are these waste people? The people using the synthetic material unnecessarily. To go to the hotel to get a food for the children, the parents of today, they go to the hotel without tiffin carrier and they get the packed in a polythene bag. And when they organize symposiums, etc., you see the packed food comes with the polythene, this one and the plastic. All this goes to the, you cannot imagine this plastic weight. It takes millions of years to degrade. Okay. And somebody asked us, what is the waste problem in the city? One of the young student of Bangalore University filed a PIL in the High Court. At that, the High Court told the PBMP to get the study done by ISA. When we did the study, we were surprised. There are so many dump sites in the city. Where the waste, it is not that what you throw in your neighbor's compound. This is in the corner of the street, which stay for a longer period, more than 10 days. So that is the thing. And we looked at who are the people responsible. Everyone is responsible in that lane to dump the thing. I look at school teacher is there. I see a bureaucrat sitting there. Doctor is there. Is everybody. How did you find out? When you go and look at their labels are there in the waste, their postal envelope and all. So you can make out that. So now, I thought architecture, some students will come. But, this architecture, People think as a great pride for Bangalore. This is a classic case of copy paste. This architecture is supposed to be for European climate or the whole climate where you are supposed to conserve the heat. Our architects and engineers of today, they copied it and they pasted in. Storing 10 lakh liters of water. If every Indian does this, there won't be any scarcity or poverty of resources. But we don't do that. But we blame the system, say, oh, my country, what has done? Such irresponsible behavior I see. And when I meet people, I make them to think differently. This gentleman from Murubithre, there was a water crisis. And when I was traveling in Bangalore, he called my student and he said that whether he can talk to me. Then I gave a lecture like this. After that, he said he has 12 acres of land. He said, golden opportunity. I told my student, let us stay back and do the measurement and give the report to him immediately. And we gave the report in May. June, he created a water body and also in the native species he planted. June 5th, when it rained, the water body is full. The success was because of the youth. Youth of today are talented. If you empower them with the right knowledge, they become an asset to the nation. Now that's what we have to do. Now I also gave a small bit of my advice to the saint. I told him, if we can do the desilting of the lake, we will not have a water crisis in the region. He said 22 lakes are there. For any saint, it's a Herculean task. I said, do one or two. When you do, your followers will change the others. As I predicted, 2 he did, desilting, other 30 were rejuvenated by his followers. And last year, when there was a scanty rainfall, Murubithre didn't face the water crisis. The success is because of this kind of water harvesting. Now, I see a success is because of the youth taken part. And even the CEO of the Alvas is quite young. I thought I should give next medicine to him. He has already taken a small pill. I should give a bigger one. I made him to create a water body in his campus which took 25 lakh liters of water. And he also did the native species planting. And you see that when I visited next year, already greenery is there with abundant resources. There is happiness. When you maintain the environmental health, there is a smile on your face. Nobody gets a smile when they visit the dump site. Only dumb fellows will get it. Okay. Now, other message, because all of you are in this age group. This gentleman was unknown when he met me. But after creating this water body, in 6 months he gets a partner, a wonderful partner who takes care of not him, entire family. Unlike our Bangalore fellows, who will say somebody on the Facebook, within a 6 months they become faceless and will be fighting in the case for divorce in the court. When you do something for the society, you will be happy. Society rewards you. That's the happiness he got it in his life. I'm sure it will continue as long as the entire system works. Okay. Now, how do we communicate to the people? I've been organizing a symposium, popularly known as Lake Symposium. 12 events every year from 98 we have done. Uniqueness of this event is the one day is the presentation by the school and college students. Ramaiah students also in the earlier event, they had taken part. I hope you will come. If you want to become a sensible Indian, if you want to become a responsible Indian and leave the country, then you will do something else. Okay. So this is a forum where international and national experts are there. It is the only forum where I have integrated science, society, spirituality, and culture at the same platform. My feeling is, and my thinking is that when all these are integrated, we will have sustenance of natural resources. That means what I cannot do, communicate. These ambassadors do that for millions of people. Okay? How does the children take part? They do simple experiment like carbon sequestration or the lake monitoring or the catchment mapping. Students have been trained and the kids go and collect the sample, they come to the lab, analyze it. Okay? And the children in rural area, they do the neighborhood mapping of diversity of life. Then, we also offer a course on environmental management. This is the 20th session, which started in September. That means for the last 20 years, every batch, 30 to 40 people have taken part. Some of the faculty from this institution, like architecture and biotechnology, were my students. We have been trying to make people, that is how we do the capacity building. so that they are literate, environmentally literate. So now I will end. See, one of my colleagues passed it. On 14th day, we didn't do the ritual. We didn't even have what we did, we brought the children to the campus. I got 500 ficus species planted in the campus. You know, ficus is a keystone species. When it happens, it also gives the water. And children come and they water it from their birthday. You know, 500 sapling, about 150 kids doing it is a remarkable job. Then you can see, even scientists have the ability to solve the problem of floods. You know, there is a place called Gokarna. Gokarna is known for Shiva, and also Lord Ganesha is standing in front of me. But unfortunately, both of them were taking the bath of a contaminated water. You know, for years they were taking bath. You know, local youth, you know, some of you like your age, they approached me, they said, sir, there is a smell, what is to be done? We visited, we analyzed the water quality, we saw it is because of the organic contamination. You know, as organic material decay, there is the hydrogen sulfide, because of that you have the smell. I cannot stop this. You know, in India you can stop water, but you cannot stop these practices. You know, people after ritual, they take the rice balls and they leave it there. So I took advantage of the practice. What did I do? I just talked to the priest. I requested them, you just chant for another 2 more minutes. When they do that, collect 25 rupees and give it to us. You know, in the process, every day 200 to 250 people do the ritual, families do the ritual. We have 20 to 25,000 rupees revenue, which was given to NGO. The NGO has hired 3 youth. Their job is to do the DPD, take out these rice balls and give it to the cattle in the Goshala. Okay, and this has given a job to the 3 youths. And for the last 3 years, the water body which was like this, looks like this. See, now Lord Shiva and his son both are getting a bath of a clean water. So he must be happy. Okay, that's how, you know, what God could solve, we scientists have solved. You know, young researcher was working with me, came up with this solution. In the meanwhile, we introduced the fish, we keep the rice. Okay, so then you have all come at the right time. Thank you all. So now, you know that those of you who are interested can listen to me at YouTube. If you give a Google search YouTube TV Ramachandra, you will get a TED talk of 15 minutes. If you want to listen to me in Kannada, yes, there is a version. So, and all our publications are archived here. And this is where in the rural school, I realized that schools do not have the facility to do the water quality and air quality analysis. We set up the labs there. You know, you might ask, how did you do it? Did government support? No. This is the money what we got as an award. You know, when society recognizes, they also give some incentive to us. I took that money and we have set up the thing. That's how, what the society has given to us, we have given it back. This is an investment for tomorrow. You know, when a child understands the water quality, that child will never do the mistake of contaminating their environment. If the child is just goes behind Python, like a Python will be crawling on the earth without doing much. I know that a lot of students are more interested in Python than doing the water quality assessment. Just learn the techniques. As an engineer, your hands-on experience always helps. Okay. Now, all my publications are available online. Those of you who are interested can go through it. But the message is you are not permitted to do the copy paste. Okay. Well, if you want to listen more from me and my students, there's a forum. We have a symposium 28 to 38, not very far from this place, just a 500 meters from here, in an environment with a good vegetation. You will learn the thing. See, you are in a concrete world. If you go to the 500 meter that side, you will see a different world. A different world with the greeneries, with a lot of knowledge. And the youngsters are doing a wonderful job. You know, the success is because of the youth doing a wonderful job there. And when there's a success, there's a smile on everybody's face. Thank you very much. I can take one of these questions.
Yeah, please. Do you have any other questions?
Yes.
So, post-COVID, we have seen tourism has been booming like unusual account right now. Like we see tourists everywhere, most probably in all the reserve forests also sometimes. I'm from Tamil Nadu and I'm mostly from the Western Ghats, as you said, near Ooty. So I could see tourists like rushing in, and I could see most people are littering out there. So this has created a high impact on the environment. Not relating right now, but in few days we might see that there's no monkeys or something there because it's completely littered. How do you think we can mitigate it?
The model what I did in Gokarna is the same model. Take advantage of that, mobilize resources, make the polluters to pay. When that is booming, at the same time you can make sure your region is also prospering with the result. See, that is where you have to bring in the thing. See, okay, don't deny anybody anything. If somebody wants to drink water, give them water. If there is somebody want to have recreation, allow them to do this, but make them to pay for it. Introduce a system where when they enter they pay, and you tell them that there has to be some regulation that no solid waste and you also have to tell them when they are there is some amount of liquid waste for that they have to pay for it. And these fellows will do that. We have done it successfully. You know, for example, when Mahamastar Sheka happened a couple of years back, our ISC took and we showed the thing. Even Kumbh Mela, you know, the success of Kumbh Mela without any, there's one credit should go to the Karnataka. You know, KV Raju took the help of ISC and we showed the success model. We didn't stop the thing. We took advantage of the model and we also showed the technology in place. Renewable energy, then wastewater treatment, solid waste being managed properly, all those things. Okay, there might be some gap. Let us not worry about that 10% gap. The success of 90%, let us see and replicate that model. So if somebody says I want to construct a house on the lake, I will say first I have a land in Bangalore opposite to High Court. Can you get me that land to me? Then you can go and sit on the lake. I hope you know what is my home in Bangalore. You know, in front of High Court, there is one stone building. That's
Sir, actually, from my base, I could see a lot of elephants. It's an elephant corridor actually. And nowadays, we feel like elephants are moving in a different direction. As you showed us that the animals tend to move towards water region. Does this have an impact? Like you could have a study that
that's a good question. You know, your COVID is a zoonotic disease. Okay? See, when the wild animal come to us, you will enjoy the wild animal. But at the same time, if you mismanage the wild animals, you will have to pay the price. To understand this, you come to Uttar Kannada and Shivamogga district. Every year, there are 200 to 300 people die because of the monkey fever. You talked about monkey. You know why monkey fever is happening? Because monkeys started coming to home. Our forest office officials, they removed the native forest which was giving the flower, fruit to the monkey with the rubber and acacia plantation in the name of development. You know, when monkey didn't get the fodder or a fruit, they came home in search of fodder, the food and water. You know, when the monkeys came home, the ticks on monkey body got detached and they started biting the humans. That's where the virus got transferred. You know, this is a KFT, the Casanova disease or the monkey fever. Every year, even before we were COVID, for the last 2 decades, I have witnessed this state. So that's where we should respect others. You know, when you respect wild animals, their habitat, then we will also live happily. Otherwise, environmental health get degraded and we will pay the heavy price. You know, the price what we have paid for the COVID, I think only people who are affected will understand that. In some families, there were deaths of 7 to 8 people, that too in the age group of 25 to 35. You can think of that, okay? So that's where let us respect, let us identify the habitats of those animals, movement paths are there, and let us not destroy that. Now today technology is available, identifying is not a problem, but making people to accept that and is a thing. See, when I talk about eco-sensitive regions in Western Ghats, I get a very affectionate phone calls.